Hi, thanks for watching another video about brand differentiation. This video today is specifically about B2B manufacturing. Now, for those of you guys that are not in manufacturing at all, I think you're going to take away some key points from this talk. And if you are a manufacturer, I'm going to be going over some very specific examples of companies, and they may be out of your reach. And the goal is not for you to copy exactly what other companies have done. The goal is to take the essence of what they've done and see how you can make it your own and apply it to your company. So we're going to go over these, and I just want to make sure that you keep asking yourself, how can I do something similar to my company in the same vein or thought pattern, but that would be on scale to what your company is able to produce? So we all know that it's hard to stand out in manufacturing. It's hard to stand out in construction. These are two industries that we really focus on. And the reason why it's hard to stand out is because everybody says the exact same thing all the time. And when I say everybody, I mean almost all the companies focus on quality, precision, you can trust us, we get it done on time. That will not make you stand out because everybody else says that. And your clients, your customers are intelligent enough to also know that that's just what you should do as a company. You saying that you're going to do a good job doesn't make you stand out. You're just like everybody else. So I gave a talk about B2C brand differentiation within manufacturing. Obviously today is about B2B. They are similar, but they're similar in the fact that you are resolving pain points for the end user. The pain points are different though for B2B. So you are talking about organizational or company-wide pain points. And if you're sitting here watching this video right now, that actually is easier for you in some cases because you can think to your own company. And if you just ask yourself, wow, if someone came in and handled X, Y, and Z for me, you're like, that would be really great. You can think about what slows your company down, what's inefficient. How could a supplier, a vendor that you work with, make your life easier if they did X, Y, or Z? So that's the whole point of today. I've already talked about this, quality, reliability. Everybody says the same thing. So I would just like you, if you take one thing from this, stop saying that. There are ways to say it without actually saying it. If you say the obvious, people will dismiss you right away. You can show videos, you can show pictures, you can have case studies that show that you are quality. You don't need to say it. And actually, a lot of these things you don't need to say. It's all about showing, making people feel a certain way. So real technical differentiation looks exactly like this. It's about solving real world problems. So it goes beyond the product specs. It builds trust and long-term partnership. It is not a one and done. And it adds real value by improving efficiency and reducing risk. That is something that is not on a lot of people's radar, is risk. Efficiency, yes, but risk is expensive. And if companies can work with you and can reduce their risk by working with you indirectly, then that is a huge cost savings for them. So we're going to first look at Siemens. If you don't know who Siemens is, they are a German company. They have a factory here in Sacramento. I have a couple of actually close friends that work for the company, and they build a lot of the trains that we see around Northern California, especially in the Bay Area here in Sacramento. They have a digital twin, and I'm not going to get into the technology around what a digital twin is, but it's basically a simulation. So a digital twin just lets manufacturers basically see a whole complex factory in use from first input to final output before you actually build it. So they can basically run the factory. It doesn't have to be a factory, it can be any complex system. Run it digitally to see where the bottlenecks are, where the problem issues will arise, and adjust it in real time so that they can know before they invest billions of dollars into a new factory that it's going to work and it's going to work well. So again, Siemens uses this as a differentiator rather than going to another company who's just like, yeah, we can build you a factory. Here's your factory. Siemens can actually prove to you what it's going to do before they actually handle it. Now, this goes back to what I said earlier. It's all about managing risk. What's the risk when you are building a factory? The risk is that it's not going to perform at the level at which you need it to. Siemens mitigates this risk. They say you are going to be able to know before you break ground exactly how this is going to perform. Basically, making it a zero risk transaction for the company, saving them a ton of money. So again, when you're talking about differentiation, it is how can you talk about something different? Siemens was talking about risk. Hilti, they focus on the customer. If you look at their website, this is a screenshot from their website. The annual report, the 2022 annual report, doesn't mention quality once. The entire report centers on the customer experience, trust, and support. And you can see that list right there. The top one is making construction better. And they say it right there. Our purpose is making construction better. We are our customers' best partner for productivity, safety, and sustainability. That is huge. That brings in the human element of a very non-human industry. Meaning when you're thinking about tools, such as that's what Hilti provides. Inanimate objects, does it work? Is it quality? How long will it last? But if you come in as a supportive role and you're like, hey, like we're going to give you great tools, but we're also going to be there for you when you need help repairing it or trying to figure out what is the best tool for what you need, what your project is. The customer is the center of their universe. The tools will take care of themselves. They know they make great tools. They're going to keep making great tools. People know they make great tools. But when you buy from Hilti, you know that you have a true partner and that you can access that partner whenever you need to. I don't know about you, but just having that sense of like someone's there to kind of take care of you makes me lean into that brand more. All right, so there's practical differentiation. So that is basically solving real world pain points. And this actually does reduce risk. So Fastenal basically came up with this really ingenious way, and it's ingenious for two reasons. One is it makes them very sticky. I'll talk more about that later. The other thing is it reduces a lot of supply chain risk. So Fastenal saw customers wasting a ton of time figuring out what supplies they needed, ordering them, all of that. They decided to come up with these like vending machines, and it allows the customer to not have to worry about ordering their parts. The vending machine will see what is left in the current supply chain. And once it hits a certain level that the company tells it to, it will order more from Fastenal, automatically get it to the company. This reduces the risk of running out of components, or what in your case, whatever it is. In Fastenal's case, it's the actual pieces used to build products. So what's so interesting about this is companies no longer have to worry about the risk of running out of just components and parts, which means they can get deliveries out on time and they can produce things on the timeline that they say they're going to, which is a risk. If they have to stop production, that costs them a ton of money, which is a risk. So Fastenal reduced this risk, but they also made it really sticky. So sticky means it's hard for people to get rid of you in a good way. They're not doing it maliciously. They are doing it helpfully. If a customer signs up with Fastenal and they have a vending machine, it just becomes part of their ecosystem. And if a vendor comes in and is like, hey, we can beat Fastenal's pricing or we have better products, it's really going to take them a lot to switch over to that other competitor if they don't have the vending machine like Fastenal, because it's a huge lift off of their team. It handles ordering and monitoring all of the parts automatically, which makes it really hard to get rid of them, because once you're used to that, it's like going from, I used to drive a Honda Accord, and now I got an EV. And I love my Honda. I loved it. It was an awesome car. It was a nice car. But man, EVs, they're quiet, they're fast. It'd be hard to go back to a gas car because I'm used to that. Same thing with Fastenal. Once you have something that handles a big stress for you, or just even makes your daily life more comfortable, it's hard to go back. These are just some numbers. Inventory errors went down 30% and efficiency went up by 20%. So it's basically, I put this in because however you can make your customer's life easier, do that. And I was talking with someone the other day about how we are getting used to, as customers, or I'm sorry, as consumers, we're getting used to things just being easy, working well. Apple, their products work very well. They're very easy. They're also very reliable. Tesla, their cars are easy to operate. You name it, these brands are getting more and more user-friendly. And so the friction of doing business with them or using their products gets lower and lower. And my thought is, that is how we as consumers are being trained. And so when it comes to the workplace, we're going to go with the option that is the least amount of friction. And Fastenal is that. They have this vending machine that handles inventory, and it makes it really easy to work with them. The last thing, which I saved it for last because I think a lot of people already know this, but I would be remiss to not mention it. Your brand differentiation can also just be good storytelling. So maybe you don't have a process that you can make that can make your customer or clients' lives easier. Maybe you don't have a really awesome piece of technology that reduces a lot of risk. But maybe your company has a great story or a really cool mission or an amazing partnership with a nonprofit. You can follow GE's path and use that as your brand differentiation. Basically, GE is saying, if you buy with us, you're making the world a better place. You're making it a greener earth. So this is, pretty basic in terms of brand differentiation. It's brand differentiation can just come down to messaging about your brand. Stop talking about quality. Stop talking about trust. Talk about the emotion of your company. We work with companies all the time that are 20, 30, 50 plus years old. There's a lot there to dive into, to tell your story, to pull on heartstrings, to attract with the right emotions. Don't be afraid to tell your company's story. Don't be afraid to put your people first. That would be the other way to differentiate, is put your people first. Humans connect with other humans. I was just in a meeting yesterday talking about a client's website that we're rebuilding, and on the homepage, they really liked this crane that was there. And I said, I really don't think you should go with an inanimate object as the first thing that people see on your website. And they were surprised. And I was like, people want to connect with other people. If you had someone in construction clothes, uniform, hard hat, vest, whatever you want it to be, with an, it doesn't have to be this like crazy inauthentic smile, but just a friendly face, that immediately says so much more than if you had the words, "We're friendly." If you can get people to feel that without actually saying it, it penetrates deeper into their psyche. So here are a couple questions to ask yourself. They're self-assessment questions. What unique operational problems do you solve? So you can make a list, and that you could pick a couple that will differentiate you and focus on those in your messaging. How do customers emotionally experience our brand? That goes back to just what I was saying earlier. How can we use storytelling to showcase our unique value? Again, that goes back to what I said earlier. If you don't know how your customers emotionally experience your brand, talk to them, ask them. Ask the boots on the ground of your company who are interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. If you don't know what story your company can tell, ask people who've been there for a long time. Look at old publications, old reports, see if you can dig up some of that company history. I know Tykert has one of the longest standing building contracting license. And I think it's like 120 or 130 years old. Or maybe it's 100 years old. I don't remember, but I know it's like it's like the 8th. It's like permit number 8 or something like that in California. That is huge. I mean, that says so much. And it's in their waiting room. It's really interesting to see. That says so much about a company without really saying much, if you know what I mean. That just establishes that they have been doing this a really long time. And then they must be doing something right to be successfully doing it for that long. Okay, so basically, once you've identified your differentiators, it's time to show them off. So audit your content. You don't have to start from scratch, but just remove generic language and try to replace with specific emotional, practical benefits. So if we do this all the time. A lot of companies hire us as their outsourced marketing team. We'll work with their CMO or their marketing director to accomplish tasks like this. If you have someone in-house to do this for you, awesome. Have them go through your website page by page and optimize the content and audit for the removal of generic language. Number 2 is elevate the customer voice. So share real testimonials. Whether it's text is fine, but if you can get video testimonials, that would be even better. And highlight emotional wins and operational results. Like, dive into why emotionally the client's win meant something to them. And a lot of times it's probably stress, B2B, because you're reducing risk, reducing costs, saving them time. And then the last one is use engaging formats. So case studies, video walkthroughs, interactive tools, personalized experiences. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. Text is okay, but if you can have video or text with photos, or if you have an interactive tool that allows people to walk through a factory or to be able to manipulate like whatever tool or product you're offering, that is great. Basically, what you're looking for is real relationships. And that's what true differentiation builds. And we do that all the time for construction and manufacturing clients. And if you want to talk about your brand and how it could be developed to be more authentic, more engaging, better differentiated, we're here to help. Please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk with you and see if there's something that we can do to help you stand out. And when I say if, I kind of say that tongue in cheek because we've never met a client that we couldn't help. I appreciate your time watching this video. Stay tuned for the next.